So how can someone working at McDonald's make $4 million US and retire early? Sounds insane, right? Well, it's not that insane, and I'm going to prove to you how you can make $4 million working at McDonald's in this video. Because in the last video, the hero of this saga started his investing journey and got set up and amassed a decent amount of money, and he's just about to meet somebody that will change his life forever. But if you are watching this video first, I strongly suggest you pause it and go and check out the video out up there, because that is the first part and the fundamental core to what this video is actually about. But to briefly catch up, Angelo is coming up to 30. He's a store manager at McDonald's and he's got $45,000 US in the bank, and he is about to meet somebody that will change his life forever. And no, like some of you guessed in the comments of the previous video, it's not Mrs. Angelo. But this person has put an idea in Angelo's head and sparked another investing fire. And Angelo is going to take him up on this clear investing opportunity that majority of people should be doing. But before you meet this mystical stranger, do your part, help this video reach a much larger audience, and make sure you have tapped that like button. It seriously does help me out, and your help with that would be much appreciated. And also, if you missed the last episode, Angelo actually signed up to his investing journey with an account on eToro, and you can find a link for that down on the pinned comment. And if you use one of them links and deposit and make a trade, you go ahead and get lifetime access to our glorious chat room, where you can chat to investors on saving and investing into individual stocks on a daily basis. So if you're interested in that kind of thing and you want to join a community of decent investors, check out the links down on the pinned comment. So Angelo is 30 and he has cash in the bank, and he doesn't know what he should do because he just had a phone call with somebody in a bank. That's right, as you amass more wealth, believe it or not, banks actually call you, asking you to come and meet them. But the guy in the bank was actually a mortgage advisor, and he suggested that Angelo stops paying rent and starts getting a house as soon as possible. So Angelo went to meet this guy, and he was quite convinced on what he had to say. In fact, so much so, he actually went ahead and took out $30,000 from his investing account. But what's more is this advisor, because Angelo is in the UK, advised that Angelo actually open a limited company, a company where it can buy the property for him, and that way he can offset some of the costings and save on tax. Because as Angelo buys more and more properties over time, he might move up in tax brackets too, so it would make sense to open a limited company. Angelo agrees and goes ahead and opens a company, takes out $30,000 from his investment, deposits it to the company, and opens a mortgage on a 3-bedroom flat in the middle of Birmingham. Now, this simple 3-bedroomed house or apartment comes in at about £200,000, and his mortgage on that will be about $170,000. Now, it's not the perfect place to raise children, don't get me wrong, it's cheap and cheerful, but by having 3 bedrooms, Angelo realized he only needs 1, and he can get in lodgers. He could easily take £700 a month from rental income, £350 each. Now, provided he keeps the house in clean condition, he should have no problem finding a lodger for £350, because it's a lot less than what he was paying previously for sharing an apartment anyway. And it would also offset his mortgage, but more so, offer him more money to invest into his VU ETF via eToro. Now, Angelo's average monthly repayment on a mortgage would come in at about £603 every single month. But given the fact that his rent used to be $500, this increase is a bit of a kick in the nuts. But remember, he's going to rent out 2 rooms, which are going to give him an extra £700 a month, which means that he's actually now got more surplus income and owns a home. And what's more, the bank's gonna love him too, provided he keeps up with his payments. Now, if you look at the statistics, Angelo's income from below 30 was coming in at about $28K every single year, and his expenses were about £17,700 every single year too. But now with the new costing of a mortgage and his new revenue stream, it's going to change significantly. His expenses have gone up to over £18,000, but his new revenue is coming in at £36,000 a year, which is a £8,000 increase per year, which is absolute insanity. So Angelo plods along and goes back to the old strategy. He knows that he needs to continue investing into the VU to build up enough money to potentially get his second property. So he continues investing 75% of his surplus income into the S&P 500 via that ETF, and at the age of 35, the bank calls him again. He now has about $113,000 in the bank, and his advisor is saying that he can get a second mortgage on an even bigger property. Angelo's initial property has also gone up at 3% compounded a year and is now worth $238,000, which is up $38,000 from his initial purchase. So Angelo takes a leap of faith on his 35th birthday. He's now been a store manager at McDonald's for 10 years, and he's seen everything over there. So he thinks handling 2 properties should be pretty easy. He takes out $50,000 from his investment to get this house, which has a total value of £300,000, which means his mortgage is going to be worth $250,000. Now, if we look at HSBC's mortgage calculator, that means the repayments would be about £887 per month. But Angelo now knows, after doing a lot of research, he's entered the big leagues. Having 2 properties is definitely better than 1. In fact, even though he's taken $50,000 out of his investment portfolio, which was valued at $85,000, it's going to pay absolute dividends because his mortgage is $887. He can rent this bad boy out under the market value at £1,500 every single month. And to use this figure, I've gone on the average rental income, which is about 7% on the property value, and gone below that. 7% of a $300,000 home would give you about £1,750. So I think Angelo could easily get $1,500 every single month without having to blink an eyelid. So now Angelo has a 2-house portfolio as a McDonald's manager, which is worth over £500,000 at £538,000. His total repayments come in at $1,490 a month for his mortgage, but his income has gone up significantly, well over £5,000 a month, which is more than double what he had when he started as a McDonald's manager 10 years ago. And like I said, he's also got savings left in his investment account and a property portfolio worth over $500,000. Who would have thought it from a McDonald's employee? But he's 35, not 105. He's got a long way before he's ready to sell up and buy that lime green Lambo. So let's continue. Now that Angelo's got 2 properties coming in, he still manages to live frugally. He still rents out 2 rooms in his apartment, and he's got this big house he rents out on the side, and his surplus income has gone up greatly. At age 37, 2 years later, Angelo has a staggering £23,000 a year going into his stock market portfolio, and that is only 75% of his surplus income. The other 25% means he has £11,000 a year for a rainy day fund, or if he wants to eventually get a car. So now Angelo is 40 years old, and he's doing pretty well for a McDonald's manager. But his banker has just called him again with a very similar deal. £300,000 house, $50,000 deposit, rental income's going to be $1,500, and the mortgage repayments $887. Now at this point, Angelo and his company bring in a total revenue of £7,000 every single month. And just before his 40th birthday, he has $282,000 in his savings and investments, and his property portfolio is valued at £624,000, given the fact that it's growing at 3% compounded per year. And what's more, if you add these 2 together, Angelo's not far off calling himself an official millionaire, approximately 100,000 out. But he's not done. Age 40, he takes his banker up and does the exact same thing again. 50,000 out of his investments, 300k home, rents it out £1,500 every single month. He continues to invest 75% of his surplus income, and at age 42, you guessed it, now he's compounding very, very fast, and his bank calls him again. Same deal, £300,000 home, 50,000 out of investments, and so on and so forth. Angelo continues to invest 75% of his surplus income and continues with his investing strategy. So at age 42, he buys another property. He takes out $50,000 from investments and goes and gets a house worth $300,000, a $250,000 mortgage, rents it out for $1,500, and the mortgage cost is £887. And at age 44, he does it again, but this time it's his last property, meaning he now has 5 properties and a hell of a lot of surplus income. And what's more, Angelo is definitely well over the status of millionaire. He has 5 properties valuing a total of £1.7 million, and his ETF portfolio at eToro is valued at a staggering £475,000 too. Now I know there's going to be somebody there thinking, yeah, but he doesn't fully own these houses, they've got mortgages. You're absolutely correct, but as the price goes up of the house too, he's also built up a lot of equity there too. Whichever way you paint it, he's definitely a millionaire on paper. At age 45, Angelo's rental income alone into his company is a staggering £57,000 a year. And the 10% interest he gets on his investing account of $475,000 generates $47,500 £500 a year too. That is just 10% interest on his current investments. Meaning that every single month, including Angelo and his company, his current inflow of revenue is staggering at £8,700 and his expenses of $5,600. So if Angelo quit his job at McDonald's at 45 years old, meaning he could really retire and live frugally, he would have £3,100 every single month to live on, which is absolutely insane, because going back when he just got the job as a manager, his take home was around about $2,500. But Angelo's not done. 45 is not enough. 50 sounds like a good age to retire. So Angelo continues his strategy for 5 years, but doesn't buy any more houses. And this is where the magic really happens. Angelo continues to invest 75% of his surplus income into the S&P 500 via his eToro app and uses the ticker VOO. From £475,000 at age 45, it grows significantly. At age 46, he has 572,000. 47, it grows to 682,000. 48, he's got 803,000. 49, 939,000. And at age 50, it's official. His investments, excluding his property, is over $1 million, coming in at 1.089 million in his investing account alone. At 1.089 million from his investing account alone. His property portfolio has grown a lot too, now valued at £1.98 million, which is absolute insanity from a guy who worked at McDonald's. This means that if we look at his expenses on the interest from his investing account and the profit from his rentals, he would have a take-home monthly salary before tax of £7,331 a month. Of course, that's before tax, but that is absolute insanity, and he can easily retire. What's more is his net worth is way over £3 million, which is way over $4 million at aged 50. Angelo is now aged 50 and has retired a multi-millionaire and rose way above what people thought was his station in McDonald's. You see, anybody can do this with planning and persistence and just working hard. Angelo had the discipline not to buy that Lamborghini when he had $500,000 in paper. In fact, he invested and doubled down with another property. And that discipline alone right then boosted his wealth to over $4 million. And you remember in the initial video, I said there was 2 things holding you back other than your age? Well, the first one is discipline and persistence to continue this plan. Even if you are older than 25, you can catch up, you can put more money in, and you don't have to retire at 50. But the key is starting right now. The first one is getting started and having the discipline and persistence to see it out. And the second one that's stopping you, just a job at McDonald's. That's it. There's nothing stopping you. There is no excuses for anybody not to become a multi-millionaire. This isn't a dream. It's not some hocus pocus wizardry. It's just simple mathematics. Now, I want to disclose this Excel might have the odd little blip in the road. I spent a long time of it, but I'm pretty sure 99% of it is correct, and I might leave it open. If you want this Excel to download yourself and edit and play with some of the things, let me know down in the comments. I want the Excel, and I'll put it on a Google Drive and put it down in the description. If you could also drop the code word down below, which is McDonald's to Millionaire, in the comments, it would greatly help me out with the YouTube gods. And if you want to see where to find me in our chat room or our WhatsApp group, there's a few spaces left. Check out the links down in the description. That's it from me. Start investing today. I promise you it will pay literal dividends. Be safe out there. God bless. Peace.